And then my last slide is for marketing. Marketing is probably the area that I needed the lecture on the most. That also has not been one of my strong suits. I've been more of the quiet, stay on the farm kind of gal. So Diane's information about marketing was really helpful. I found, like she said, that research and pre-planning are pretty huge for, you know, costing things out to see how much to charge for it, asking people around to see if they would want to buy it, maybe making samples of whatever it is, whether it's your keys or chapstick or a new lotion or whatever. Just ask your friends and tell them to be honest with you so that when you actually start putting things out, there are things that the people want to buy. Same thing, I asked questions about labeling and does this look better or do you like this and stuff like that. And I think it's good to look at your strengths and your weaknesses and try to be honest with yourself for what you are good at and what you're not. And if you have family members that help you, then a lot of times they can offset some of the strengths or weaknesses that you have. Maybe they're good at something you're not and vice versa. So sort of finding those things. And then quality is also a big thing that I learned from Diane for if you're at market and you're presenting yourself, you need to have a product that you can be proud of and that you can back up and it looks nice and pretty and clean and all of those things. But I feel like the sales are a lot different for the people who have stuff that they've really looked at how to make a cute display that's eye-catching or signs that are big and legible, tables where they invite conversation for you to start to make connections with the customer, things like that. After the class, I changed a lot about how I felt about diversification. It kind of seems like a no-brainer, but at the time, between milking the goats and making all of the cheese, I didn't really want to diversify because I felt like I was going to be spread too thin. However, I've started to learn that there's other ways to make money, and it really helps the farm to be supplemented. I started making soap, but I make it in the wintertime when I'm not milking anyone, so I have the free time to do it. I realized that I had a really nice manure pile that has to go somewhere every year, and so I started selling it, and we were able to get a tractor and have the tractor or the manure sales help us pay for our tractor so that we don't have to make every payment in full, which has been great. And then we're going to be getting some pigs this year and feeding them the whey so that we can start keeping some of the stuff that in the past I've shipped off farm. And so brainstorming different ideas that will help feed your main thing I think are great. Back to the holistic management thing, I would think about how much time those things take versus how much you're going to be able to make off of them to find out if it's worth it for you. And the last thing is that change is inevitable. And you might come up with this really great idea for something that no one else at market is selling, and it could be that in 2 years someone else or multiple someone else's are selling that same thing. So having the fluidity of being able to realize that not everything that you've been doing in the past will always last forever. I know when I started this dairy, there was one other goat cheese producer in the state of Idaho. And I thought, great, you know, my marketing's going to be really easy because it's a huge commitment to put in the building and get certified with the USDA. And at most, I might have one other person, but the laws changed, and there's, if you have 7 goats or less, you can make cheese on your stovetop in your kitchen, and they run some milk tests for you, and it's a great law. It means that communities have access to raw milk and raw cheese again, and that small family farms have more diversity that they can add to that. But it definitely changed my marketing. I went from being the only goat cheese producer to one of 3 or 4 at each market. And so you have to kind of be okay with the fact that things are going to change, and your good idea one year might not be as great the next year. Or, you know, sometimes there's things you come up with that kind of become your trademark thing and take off and do well, but I definitely recommend being flexible and always sort of brainstorming when you can about extra ways to make money in case one stops working for you so well. And I think that's about it. So
thank you so much. That was wonderful. We're going to have a little time for questions now.
Next slide.
If I can